And how did you do that? Call this meeting to order at 5:37. And we please go roll.
Hector Abad,
Present.
Aileen Garcia, present, Emily Garcia, present, Jessica Mendoza is not present, Mario Pineda,
Present.
Marita Costa,
Present.
Claudia Lucis, and Kevin Mackey.
Present.
We have one.
Thank you. Order of business, deferrals, additions, and deletions. Seeing none, public comments. No public comments. And we don't have any minutes.
You do have minutes, and
we
you
do?
can approve them.
Okay. So we will approve the minutes of August 15th. Do I have a motion? You have a second?
Second.
Can I, if I was absent at that meeting?
You have
I
to
can still,
vote.
yeah,
That's all. Moving on, staff update. All yours.
All in regards to budget, right?
Yes.
Okay. So just before we start, one thing that I want you guys to understand about this, unfortunately, the system we have isn't 100% up to date on the day you pull it. And that is for the reason that if I request a check from the finance office, they will go ahead and pull from these GLs. But if we go to Publix and buy something on my credit card, we have to wait until that statement comes in. So you can always expect this to be some dollars off based on how much you use on the credit card. So I just want to make that very clear. Because I believe you guys had an event last month, right? The forum, the debate. And I believe there was expenses incurred on that. That was, my credit card was used for that. So that means that this does not reflect whatever amounts may be incurred from that. So always just leave some space for that is all I would ask you guys to do. I have an idea, but you're not gonna have 100% the number because if there was anything missed, you know, that month, you know, we have to pay for it regardless is the point. It's about $744 between janitorial, and I think I sent you that.
You prefer the janitorial credit card too?
Well, they need to send, that one, no, that one, I don't know how they pay it, but it all comes in a lump sum because we don't just janitorial just for that, right? They probably do it at the end of the month is the point.
And that was all from sponsor money. That was not what we had in the budget.
Well, hold on, so then I'll get to how sponsor dollars and budget dollars are a little different, and I think, yeah, I think this serves as a refresher. So anytime there's, for example, event is pretty much where you guys gather all your sponsorship dollars for, that's where all the dollars would have been allocated to. So if you guys can follow along with me for a second, just the event line item, there's $1,000 in the first column. That means that that's money that town council budgeted for. You guys gave you $1,000 to use under event line item. Then you'll see it says transfer and adjustments 2,900. So that's sponsored dollars that have come in. That gives you a new total of 3,900. So I think you guys follow me so far. So that's 3,900 that you had to spend for anything that would fall under event, any expenses under event. However, now I'll take you back to contributions and donations. There was $5,000 that came in total for sponsorship dollars. It wasn't 2,900, it was 5,000 that you guys raised. However, the only reason you see 2,900 and not the full 5,000 is because every time there has to be an allocation to the event line item, finance has to go to council. They're not going to be going to council every month just because there's money constantly coming in. But it doesn't matter, regardless, it's $5,000 that you guys, was given to you. So all that to say is, you guys, if we use just the only amount that was allocated, which is the 2,900 plus the 1,000, that gives you a new total of 3,900. And you'll see you guys spent 3,308 is what's coming so far. So let's work with the 3,308. Now, what I wanted to explain to you about sponsored dollars and budget dollars. Anything that comes in, sponsored dollars are always pulled first. So there's kind of like two buckets. There's the budget dollars and then there's sponsored dollars. So let's use your 5,000 for instance, right? So you guys have $5,000 in sponsored dollars minus 3,308 in expenses. That gives you 1,691 left in sponsored. Now we just talked about an outstanding 700.
So that comes from there,
That will come from there.
from the sponsors.
Everything will come from sponsors first.
Okay,
So that gives you 1,691 left in that line item minus 700. What is that, like 800 or 900, let's say? That gives you 800 in sponsored dollars left, gives you $1,000 in budget left for a total of 1,800 about. However, again, repeating, and this is, recommendation from the finance office, I talked to them. The idea is that any funds that are not used from budget dollars go back to the town. Obviously, I understand that you guys work for those sponsored dollars, and the idea was for, the committee to use them, so it would, I understand how it feels wrong for it to go back to the town, so you guys are more than welcome to go, and at this point, you are on the agenda to request it from council, but the recommendation from the finance office is that you do it until those charges hit, so that you go with a clear number as to what you're asking for.
and when do you expect those charges to hit?
You would probably have to wait till the end of the month.
You can't
Now-
pull an up-to-date statement, kind of like a,
The statement of the credit card needs to hit.
right, but you
Well, I
can,
still
you
have
can
time.
bring like, you could pull up like what your spending transactions are at before you get that statement, so you, the event's over, so you kind of know what those charges would be.
But they
already.
need to post, so that budget knows that they're working with the real-time number.
But wouldn't we have the statement already?
But you have an
Yeah,
approximation, right?
I've been already.
Right, but I'm just telling you that this is a recommendation from finance office to be perfectly clear about what you're asking for and the exact dollars that you guys want transferred. The recommendation is that it's done at the following council meeting when everything has already closed off. And
So
she
the
said that
second
you guys,
October
October,
meeting.
you're doing it at the
no,
October.
the October meeting, and she just told me, because I just spoke to her, that it would be fine for you guys to do that. That you don't have to worry about it being lost, and if they're gonna approve it, they're able to approve it then.
In October, but aren't there two budgetary meetings? that
Yeah, but
take
that's
place
in
September When
terms-
they approve the budget.
Yeah, but that's what they're allocating for the new fiscal year. It's not about transfers.
Okay, but usually when they discuss budget, they also discuss transfers at the same time.
That may be the case. I'm not gonna tell you yes or no
Yeah.
because I don't deal with that, but
What we
Coming
don't want
straight
is
Or like the carryover. So if there's a carryover that you want, you usually have to discuss it at budget because you're establishing the budget then.
well, I just spoke to the finance officer. So her recommendation is that you guys do it in the October one so that you're perfectly clear about what the amount is.
Right, but isn't the budget set and
In all honesty, I'm not gonna tell you yes or no because I don't want to get into details of what I mean. I know I misinform you. I'm just telling you what the direction is from the finance.
okay, no, I'm just trying to clarify. I know that when you have the budget hearings, they establish the budget and any committees who want to request, let's say carryovers or whatnot, they usually go during that time to ask for the carryovers. because they established the budget. Now, after that, you can
Right, it's more
amend
than
the
a year.
budget. But
It's
it's
just
usually,
estimated
you know, like if I'm
9,
transferring
40.
within my own budget, but if I'm giving money back to the town because I didn't use it, that's it. It's gone. Because
Well-
we didn't talk about it during the budget. Am I making sense here?
No, I understand.
I am just telling you the recommendation, finance.
No,
I
no, no.
can't stop you from knowing you guys are on the agenda, if that's what you
Can we
guys feel
get that in,
comfortable
can we
doing.
get that in the email or something?
Sure, I
That
can
way we
have her
have it.
send you an email tomorrow if you like.
But
Yeah,
I,
and I think that you should maybe also request what's the up-to-date credit card balance with the charges that, because that, I mean, we're not living, you know.
I mean,
our
yeah,
budget.
and we had that
Yeah.
event a while ago.
No, it's been a month already. We should have
No,
the
so what-
audit.
Well, the statement doesn't
Yeah, the
come,
statement.
right?
Yeah, but we
So,
don't have to wait for this stuff. We can't like pending charges.
okay, I mean, you guys, I can pull that, like, that's not a big deal. I'm just telling you that the finance recommendation is that you guys do it
Mhm.
next month.
Right, just, I
But-
guess
but
relate to
then-
finance that we're
But
kind of
then,
confused at.
then the
Maybe
400 and,
there's a way to- for us to do it differently.
the allocation that we want to do on this month's meeting to, to transfer the 491.58. So then we don't go to council. is what you're saying?
Sorry, say that again?
So we requested to go to council in September to transfer 498.58,
Why not? What?
491.58. It's in the minutes.
Did you say
491. You see it?
Okay, I'm gonna throw another question.
Where
I'm
you
so
get that?
sorry.
Where you
But
gonna-
usually when you're doing transfers, if they're less than $700, you can usually do
You
it.
don't have to.
No.
Right.
No, but
So
he's
you're
talking
like-
about,
Okay.
since it's the new fiscal year, that's why.
See, we made a motion.
right, you're not transferring between line items.
Yeah, you're transferring
to a
into
whole
a new
new
fiscal
But a
year.
new fiscal
That
year, but we
requires-
haven't, okay, maybe I'm not following. Maybe someone help me here.
So they wanna move the sponsorship money.
So
that's
what
left
we
over
had-
to next year.
Okay, so we're talking sponsorship money.
Contribution.
Correct.
Yeah, but wait, but that means
See,
that
there's
that
two different
$1,000
things.
is still there.
We still have more than
There's,
$1,000.
let's say there's no extra transactions coming into the credit card, just for the sake of following. You have about 1691 left in sponsored dollars right now, right? Just that you could spend with.
But we
you did
still have
something right now.
$1,000.
And you
But
have 1,000 from the budget,
Budget.
correct.
So 26.
Okay, but
So the
what,
idea is that normally
19.
budget money goes back to the town because it
Okay.
wasn't used, that's what they allocated, you guys
So in other
didn't use
words,
it.
you get to keep the sponsorship money, but that $1,000 that the town gave you goes back into what the
No,
general.
Everything
fund.
goes back.
Yeah,
They're
yeah,
trying to
yeah,
save.
We're trying to
money.
save the money that we
Which is
got from the.
exactly, which is what, that's what I'm
Well, I
trying
wanna
to say,
say
is that
everything,
usually
not
you
just
talk about that before the budget is set. Because they're, they're setting a budget and every dollar is spent. So if we're gonna give back, whatever, I'm throwing out an amount, $10,000, those $10,000 are gonna be allocated to sidewalk repair, just to throw it out there, you know?
Right.
So you can't go back afterwards in October and say, hey, can I get my $10,000 back? Because they've already allocated to something.
Well, the recommendation, again, you guys are more than welcome to do it, I'm just. for
Yeah, maybe you just have to
transparency,
have the
we
conversation on the
spoke
days.
So the budget
At the
officer
podium.
and the recommendations to do it in October, so you have a real time number.
But again, I have on this to go to this in September to request for the 491.58. So what the recommendation is to not do that, is what you're saying?
It's not to not do it,
Okay,
it's to
pero-
do it in
Yes, you're
October.
doing it total.
Mhm.
pero
But
wait,
my thing is
wait.
that how do we go from 591 to 2,000?
Where's the 2,000?
That you're saying that we have.
It's
left.
1691.
We have $1,000 left on our budget.
Because
line of the event.
Pretty much that 1,000 that was appropriated at first for the budget, you guys haven't touched it.
Right.
So the $1,000 is there right now,
Mhm.
it is there.
But why haven't we, I mean,
There's contributions.
because
that
it
came from
Sponsor dollars
sponsorship
get
money
always
first.
pulled
It
first,
always
that's,
gets
and that's
pulled for
something you guys
contributions.
need to understand for any line. item.
So they take from this pot before they touch this pot.
They take from the
Exactly.
We're gonna
sponsorship money
empty this
before.
out before we touch this.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
And at the end, they
Pretty
take
much.
everything back.
I'm just thinking of way, and again, listen,
No, it's a sponsor.
I think the future
That's what we
is
do.
sponsorship.
Right,
Okay, so todo committed.
But again, we have to go to council to ask to keep that sponsorship.
but you have to do it before they set the
Or
budget.
or the October, right, we have to do it in September, that's what I'm asking.
Well,
Yeah.
that's not the recommend, I'm just going for the record.
It's
And
okay,
my
you know
job
what?
for the record, budget officer told you, to do it
Clarify
in
on-
October for
clarify on
having
the
the
podium.
normal. But go
Okay,
ahead.
But I need a number, because it's not
Well, I'm
491.58.
telling you that it's
That's what
a
I'm- that's what
thousand,
I'm coming.
no,
That's where I'm
no,
going.
I'm giving you the
Let's do-
full
just
number.
give me the
I'm
number.
giving you the full number. I'm telling you what to do, you guys can
Go.
do whatever you
Okay.
want. You have 1,000 left right now from budget dollars
Correct.
that have not been used.
Because clearly it's more.
And,
Plus the
That's not
contributions that
fair.
are left.
Sorry, I'm waiting. 'Cause I need the recording again.
Right.
1,000 for the budget that They gave to you, you guys have not touched it. And there, right now, let's say the credit card statements haven't touched, you guys have about $1,691 left from your sponsor
So
dollars.
1691 for sponsor, that's without the money that needs to be allocated from the credit
From
card
the
statement.
forum.
Correct.
Which is about 744.
Yeah.
So what we're looking really is about $1,000 and about 947, but let's say 900. Just to give it a
Which is what I'm saying, it's more than we need to allocate, because it's not.
Hmm.
More than we have, not more than that.
Okay.
Right.
If you're looking at it as a lump sum, correct.
Exactly.
But I just want you to
Because we're
understand where the
gonna lose
money's
money,
been
we're gonna
touched
lose
and where
money.
it hasn't.
I need
Regardless,
to know the lump sum that was requested.
exactly.
Okay, I have a question. Is the lump sum made up of town budget money and sponsorship, so then they're treated differently when it comes to
Exactly.
budget? That's what I'm saying. You can't lump them into the same
Same
group.
thing.
Money's money, but at the end of the day, one is
How much do we
sponsorship.
have left for
one is town.
sponsorship? Correct.
But shouldn't
You
sponsorship,
gotta separate it.
shouldn't sponsorships naturally roll over? on the first
Exactly.
committee? Because they're.
They
they're-
don't, but that's
Right,
why
but
you guys would.
you
go over it.
understand my rationale, because the sponsors are giving them money under the guise that they're giving it
That
to
they're
the
using it for
education.
a certain
Yeah,
event.
yeah,
Yeah, the
yeah.
idea is that those
Yeah.
dollars were used for your event. Now the event has passed, so I don't know how it's treated at that point, right? Because the idea is that the
Right.
sponsor is giving it to you with the understanding that you're using it.
For
the
that
next-
event, right,
Right,
that's true
exactly.
You know
too.
the topic of discussion,
Right.
next chair's doing, right?
But in that sponsorship, if you're going to have that same event the following year,
That's true. Yeah.
okay, you
Yeah.
should be able to hold on to that money. That's sponsorship money, because the town hasn't done anything for that. The town shouldn't have a say in,
Yeah,
we're
they
gonna take
shouldn't,
that
they
money
shouldn't
back.
have to. even
The
keep
town
it.
can say something about the $1,000, that's a different story, but that, now that's referred to as carryover money that we would like to have for
That's
the
what you can
next.
request in the bids, yeah.
So if you're looking at a lump sum, it's 2691, but with the understanding that 1,000 is your allocated budget of the year.
Is town money, and that there's two separate funds.
That make up that 26. That's all I wanted you guys to understand, not even just for now, just for future.
Sure.
Like, when you raise too much sponsor dollars and then you don't use them, you kind of encounter.
So
these
my-
issues.
my-
Okay, but can I request, or can I request you to, is there any other committee that their money does not, that money does roll over?
If it does, they have to go through the same process as you. They have to go to budgets. I mean, they have to go to
I'm
council.
missing, I want to hear what they, what is.
So we solved the problem.
Oh, you saw your. So, I don't know, but we have two sides going on, and then I'm trying to.
So it's 2691.
Oh,
1,000
wait.
from the town budget. and
No, but
691
$744 pending.
You have to
You don't
separate
count
the
that.
two, yes, you have to separate the
It's 1,000
two.
and then the rest, but remember, it's not 1691, if you take away the
Exactly.
We're taking
744.
away,
Yeah.
yeah.
There's
It's
charges
like
that will come in and
940
deduct from that.
Okay, but we could, just as that we don't know those charges, right? I'm gonna ask for the 1691 until those charges come in, because again, it's like they say, they're not gonna take it out of this 1691 until the statement comes in.
It's approximately 1,900, right? At the end of the,
Pero I don't know why the statement will never come in, el bill was in July.
it's pending, it's not,
August,
it's not,
September.
yeah, it's not.
Pero usually
Because the
statement
credit
is 2
card
months.
closes after a
Right.
month as anybody, as a regular statement, and that's when it gets input
But
into that.
when did we have that?
If you guys don't wanna have this issue, just a
No, chica.
recommendation for future, because I know you guys will continue having events, obviously, is just do everything through check. It's a lot slower, but it guarantees you that whatever you're pulling is real time.
Yeah. When was the form?
It was like. forever.
When was it for?
Was it,
It was
yeah,
like a long
More than a
time
month
ago.
ago.
The form?
Yeah, it was a while ago.
I think August 3rd,
third.
more than a month ago, which means we should have the statement.
I have
But,
another
right,
question.
let's say it closed August 31st, the statement.
Let me throw the wrench in.
The statement should have come in, right, I see.
Yeah, I don't understand.
Again, I'm just gonna repeat the same thing, because I don't want to give you wrong information.
No, no,
The
yes.
recommendation is that in case there's any outstanding charges,
Right.
you wait until those charges hit.
Now, other.
So that would mean
Sure.
that you guys go in
Well-
October and ask for those.
But
Exact
but
dollars
my
of what you're
concern
asking
to that end would be similar to what Claudia said, right? Our fiscal year ends September 30th, October
Right.
1st, a new fiscal year. So we're gonna go after the fiscal year start and say, hey, let's go revisit an issue from last fiscal year.
I know it may sound weird to you, and I understand, but
No,
that
we
is
get
the,
something,
that's-
we get something in
Right.
writing.
I'm telling you what's
Because-
coming
She's
straight
the
from the
messenger.
finance
I'm
office.
right.
If you
Because-
can
That's all I can
send an email, then we could get that in an email, then.
Because
I-
we're kind of in a spot here, right? Because
Once you set the budget, you set the budget.
Because my understanding, right, And this is, I'm just following the thread from Ms. Hernandez, right? Well, I'm assuming it's the person we're talking about the budget. Okay. She's willing to meet with Mr. Pineda and myself on the 9th to discuss these things, right?
Mhm.
Oh, I don't remember.
That is after the meeting, right? Isn't the meeting the
No,
weekend?
we did that.
Well, but then we would not have,
The meeting is
we're
on.
gonna call it
13.
Alright.
but at that point, well, we're gonna call another special, I mean, how many meetings are we gonna be having?
That's fine.
That's the thing, I can't go
Well,
to, I
you
can't go to
wouldn't have
council
to,
unless.
you don't have to do a special call, because you guys are agreeing
Yeah.
that whatever funds are left after that charge hits, that's what you're gonna go on after.
So make a motion like that.
That's all it
And make a
is.
motion for
Okay.
that.
But if you guys, but I wouldn't recommend you getting a motion because you guys aren't agreeing that she doesn't want you guys to wait till October. So it depends on what you guys decide. Are you gonna wait for
But I will still
finance
go to council,
recommendation?
but
or
I'll
are you gonna-
I'll still go to council with, on September, why wait till then? October, I can still go to council in September and ask them to reallocate those funds.
Minus whatever charges are paid.
Exactly. Exactly. So the 1691 minus any pending charges that we have occurred to the EAB to be transferred to the next fiscal year.
I mean, I'm not, again, my recommendation
Okay,
stands
so-
at the finance office, but you guys can go ahead and do with whatever the information I'm giving you.
I'd rather take it in September, and then if I have to take it in October again, I take it in October again.
Yeah,
You guys
because that
have the
just doesn't make
agenda,
sense.
that's
I
fine.
know what you're being told, but that just doesn't make sense, because once you set the budget is set.
I don't wanna wait till October and say, you know what, you missed out on it, and then
the
it's
budget
all.
is set at this meeting?
That the budget is set in September. There's 2 budget hearings that take place. That's why I'm saying maybe it was meant for the secondary budget meeting just to get, but once the budget is set, the budget is set. Now, can stuff be amended? Yes. But when you're talking about carryover funds, because there's 2 different kinds of funds. You have the sponsorship funds and then you have carryover funds. So you also not just have to look over at what the town contribution fund is, but is there money left over in any of the other itemized categories? Because that's gonna add on to your carryover total. So it may not just be $1,000. You may have $200 left over here, 500 over here, et cetera, et cetera. Now your carryover is actually a lot more. And then you ask for your sponsorship to be given to you because it was raised for the purpose of the Education Advisory Board. So, but it's 2 separate things, but imagine this, you take the carryover amount. Let's say it's $5,000. Hey, EAB didn't use the $5,000. We put it back into the big pot. Okay, the part where everybody, now we're gonna use it for everything else, but then you can't come back afterwards and say,
And
hey, can I
that
get the $5,000 back?
Yeah, I agree.
It's gone,
I agree. Totally.
because then who's gonna give up the $5,000? I'll sit back and wait.
My other question we had another, bill for the shirts, I believe.
Yes, that's the negative that you see there.
So, okay, so let's go over that, because I thought we had money in the miscellaneous expenses, we always had it. But then again, we can say, huh?
No, you didn't. It
But the
says
year be-
original appropriation, $0.
And the year before, at some point we've had it, I know if we use miscellaneous.
Could be, yeah.
So those 30170, where are they gonna come out of? They
You
were-
guys have to agree as a committee where you want it to come out of.
So, yeah, so let's
I
go.
don't, it's not gonna come out of sponsored dollars,
Okay,
right?
so we-
Because
so
sponsors didn't agree to pay for your shirts.
So it can come out of,
It comes out of your $1,000
It could come out of those $1,000.
Right.
or wherever else, whatever budget dollars you have.
And then we have to make a motion on that as well.
So we don't have 1,000. right?
No, we don't.
we didn't,
We don't. Because now you have to, we have to subtract another 30170 from
It's
the.
not so much, but just so we're clear, what you have to do is move that money to cover the deficit. Like you as a committee, you guys can always, move money from line item to line item, right? You guys can do that.
So we
So that's what
used,
you would need to do just to cover the 300 that you're over.
and then everything else was used, the grant money, the STEM.
So right now, what says,
You're on the
Okay,
available
I'm
budget.
sorry,
I
I'm like a
see.
5-year-old and I need to understand things. Can we work through the math together?
sure,
Thank you. Forgive me, just so that we understand.
so.
Let's start off with the sponsorship money, if we can go back, like, all right, so 330842 is what was spent at the
So
thing,
far, correct.
plus whatever the Publix or whatever it is was, right? So that's about $744, that's what you estimated,
Yeah.
correct?
About,
Okay, so that brings us to $4,052.42. Right, so we take that away from the sponsorship, the $5,000 that we have there, right?
pretty much.
Okay, I like to do math, sorry, 747.58 is what's left there.
Mhm.
Okay, do we have to take anything else out of there?
The 30170.
No, no,
Not yet.
no, no, no.
You can't take that because of the
Because
conversation,
sponsors, you're
right?
right, you're right.
So that comes out of the $1,000.
Exactly.
Okay, so let me put my little $1,000, sorry. I'm
No,
sorry.
no, it's fine.
Minus, how much is it, 300?
301 and
30170.
70 cents.
70.
Well,
Okay. All right. So now, we have $947.58, more or less, left in the sponsorship money, right?
Yep.
And then what we have left, then out of the, mind you, taking out the 301.70, now we have $698. Is that why you were telling us that we more or
You
less?
can't take it from the
had-
sponsorship.
That's
No, you
right.
can take it from the $1,000.
Okay.
Right, but you know how they were trying to,
Right, I see what you're
yeah,
saying.
so now I understand why you were saying, I guess the 1,600 more or less, is that what you were doing?
No, 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 the 1691,
Where's
That's
that?
what we were-
that's because you guys have $5,000 in sponsored dollars. Let's not use the budget for a second, right?
Okay, right.
Let's use the 5,000
The five
sponsor
grand, right.
minus what you spent, it gives you about 1691 left in sponsored dollars.
Okay, but I have, okay, see, this is where I'm off. So if I had, and that's why I went through the math thing before, we had 5,000 in sponsored dollars, right?
Yes.
We spent 3308.42, right?
Mhm.
Am I
Yes,
just following?
yes,
you? Okay, and then we have a pending,
But that's the thing, I was
744.
just going based off this report, that's
Okay.
why.
but let's say we have a pending,
Mhm.
740.
Mhm.
Okay, I see, so you
So
weren't
six-
including.
we still
okay.
go back to your same number.
Okay,
Yeah.
I see what you're saying. That's where you got the 16 from, because you didn't
Yeah, yeah.
include, that's what.
But the 1,000 is not included in the 5,000, or is it?
No, no, no,
No,
this is,
it's
this is me
Yeah,
doing
this
math
is separate, yeah.
strictly off of sponsored
Now I
dollars.
got you. Okay, all right. That's what it is. So you had 1,600 without taking out the 744. Okay, so then, yeah, and then the 300 have to come out of the 1,000 because like you
So
said.
any other line.
Any
item,
other
you
line,
have-
because
Yeah,
we
since
have
it wasn't-
available,
That's not what
yeah.
the sponsors came in for, so that makes sense. Okay.
So let me ask you this.
So why have a miscellaneous item, a line item, if we're gonna be taking it out from the budget money? That's a little bit.
We don't have a miscellaneous.
When you guys,
We have zero.
I don't,
But you have zero funding, so you have to transfer some
We
money.
have to transfer something either from the imagination education
No, you,
or,
Wait.
no, you transfer from the $1,000.
oh, $1,000, yeah.
Okay. So what happened to, so we haven't paid anything to the library?
it says right here that the library has been paid. The Friends of the Library?
Yeah,
See,
it's
shows
just
that the
zero,
whole
it's
budget-
just 100%, use 100%, yeah. Well, we haven't
Yeah, you
paid,
used it, 100%, it's gone, you have $0 left.
well, we haven't used,
And just so you want,
Imagination Library.
just as an update,
the
any.
STEM, we haven't used, the $10.
Okay, so just as an update, STEM, and what says, AP
Uh-huh.
was just paid out.
So-
Again, this isn't, that's why, that's my point, right? You need to wait till things hit.
So that's paid out, and then the, they can have a lot, they don't get it.
Tranquilo, tomes la partida. it's
Sí,
fine.
sí, como que you guys are thinking what the.
Because we're doing math over here.
Ah, okay.
So the first
whichever one
motion we
is-
have to make is,
Okay, here we go. I make a motion that we move $301.70 from our,
$1,000.
where's it, our events?
Yeah.
Where's the category? The events.
It's there, it's the
Yeah.
third one.
Okay, from our event category to the miscellaneous expense category.
a second. All in favor?
Aye.
You guys have it,
So we got that one covered, right? So we covered that 301.
let's go.
We don't have
So
to
now
worry
you
about
have $698.30
Right.
left in that,
it. And that's
line item.
events.
In the 1,000,
yes, in the
In- in-
events.
I
Yes,
not for sponsors.
not for sponsors, okay?
I still, but my thing about it is that I know throughout the year, we talked about using money from, and I know,
No, I can check for you, I'm
no, but
right
they,
here.
okay, but perhaps we should have known this before. I know, okay, what you're telling us now, that's sponsors, right? But I remember us talking about, oh, we need so much for the cleaning crew and this, and we have $1,000 and we're gonna move 500, you know. And with, all along, we were, at least I was on the impression we're using events money. Now, when we started going out with multiple events, and we knew $1,000 was not gonna cover, because really doesn't cover much, then we started hitting, and really it was Dave, and Mark, we hit every, the sponsors, you know what I'm saying? I just would hate for their money who was given to us in a school system, if I give you a check for something, it stays in that account until I use it for that
I
purpose.
agree, yeah, which is why you guys will go to council to do this.
But okay, I don't even know
It's
what.
not
it
an
is.
automatic
It was a
thing.
donation that came to us. I'm not asking the town to use tax dollars for that, it was a donation. But okay, again, that's something
I think
that
that
we need
argument can
to
be
argue.
made.
Yeah, that's something we need to argue. So 691 from the events from
Six
the,
ninety- do the math.
698.30 from the events, category from the tab,
Mhm.
That's
okay?
what's left.
And then from the sponsors,
1691
1691 minus whatever comes in
spending,
for the new state.
which we anticipate to be about 744,
Right.
Which gives us a
which will
total.
be about 947.
58.
58, okay, is what we need to transfer, okay? Do we need to make a motion on that?
We always have to make a motion. Do you want me to make a motion?
They always want to.
So, okay, so I'll make a motion that we I mean, you did the math, right? The math is good on that side?
Our math, I think our calculations are good.
So I'll make a motion that we moved $698.30 from the events category to next fiscal year, as well as the 1,691 minus whatever charges are pending, which we estimate to be at 744. So in other words, if the math is correct, it will be 698.30 and 947,
58,
58. 958 and 947.58.
947.58. But I think specifically mentioned that, yes, that's sponsorship money.
Right, that's
Because
sponsorship.
it's two different categories.
So the 947.58 is sponsorship money?
947 sponsorship money and 698 in events.
Well, we have 1691 minus the expenses, because it could be off the dollar or two, she said.
Well, the budget officer will be doing it, so she, if, you know, in case that's already hit, she can give you the correct amount.
I'm assuming they're requesting.
Do you have a second?
That's second.
Okay, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The ayes have it.
What else do we need to discuss about the budget? Everything else, so I know.
So I just wanted to give you guys an update. The AP and the STEM, the check requests were made a few days ago, so that will come out of there.
Okay.
And I know we always do that, it always goes for the next
Because
year.
it's at the beginning of
Our
the school
fiscal year in
year.
the school system is different than the time.
And then I have the copy of the check request if you guys want to see them.
Okay,
These are for, all right.
For the AP and the STEM.
Middle. The total comes out to what?
That's for the 50 and then for the 26,500. I mean, sorry, that's for the $10,000 total and for 26,500. So it comes out to a total of 36. You add all those up.
Wow.
If I never come with the exact 26, should we borrow those extra $10 too?
Did you have any other
Make a
questions
motion.
about any of the other?
No,
items?
any other questions on the budget?
I do.
Go.
Are there any other monies left over in any of the other categories that we have to request a carry forward?
I was just telling them, the STEM and the AP
Mhm.
has now been paid out. That's the copy right there that you see just a few days ago. That check request was made, so that will empty out that line item. AP and STEM.
Okay, so, okay,
So
there'll
there'll
be
be
two
two pennies in
done.
the 26.
okay, so everything else has been spent then. So the only carryover that we're talking
No,
about
wait.
is
wait.
698.30.
No, let me have that back.
There's
Let me have that back.
something
I
in the
wanna-
education.
That's why I want to
but-
clarify, because you have to ask for that too.
But this could be that they,
That is not
that
updated?
is just an outstanding payment that we will be making, but I can check for you and clarify that.
Okay, Ben, I think I want to make a motion. What do we give the school 86, 66, 66, right?
But, yeah.
Make a motion?
So I make a motion that we move $500 and 2 cents. What do you do this time? From the AP line that we give to the schools. and allocate it to events for next year?
Well, I'm
Okay,
sorry.
so now you're
Sorry to
asking for a
interrupt.
carry forward.
Well, so this is the thing, if this math is
A carry
correct,
forward.
we have 26.5 budgeted for,
No, but it's, the money's getting pulled from those check requests that I
sure,
just gave.
but
you
it's
guys.
86.66 per school. If I multiply
not
that.
right.
No, there's
86
113, there's
Yeah.
one, that's a 13.
You didn't receive like 8660, this is 13666.
No. Okay, so
You read the numbers.
so this is what it is. You ready? Ready? Okay.
8,666 with 66 cents.
They all
Ah,
get the same.
espera.
8,666
Ajá.
with
Plus.
66 cents
Mhm.
plus 13,666.
No,
No,
wait
you
a
guys
minute,
are,
so
you
that's the
guys are
total. Okay,
mixing
so
the
listen.
line items.
Listen, simple. Miami Lakes Middle School, Bob Graham, K8, right? K8
One
and
is
Bob Graham
STEM,
gave
which one is
5,000 each
EAB?
for STEM. That's the $10,000,
Mhm.
right? You see Miami Lakes doesn't get that money.
Right, it's only 10,000.
Then you have AP line on the three. It's 86, 66, 66 for all three.
For the
25,999, so that's
And-
26.
Okay.
But we
Oh,
have
I see what you
allocated
mean.
26.5.
Okay.
So those $500, I would like to reallocate them. So my motion goes back to being, reallocate those $500 that we're losing every year from the AP STEM.
But why is it showing that we're depleting those?
I think that math adds to 26.
Okay, so then that's another carryover amount. So then your total carryover amount, now, that $500.02, is that what it is?
Well, that's what it is.
Okay, has to be added on to the 698.30, because that's adding on to what you're going to ask the town to carry forward for next year. Because remember, there's two separate, that's your carryover, and then you have
From the
your
budget,
sponsorship.
right, yeah, from the budget, we have to ask the 698 plus the 500.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
from the sponsorship, we have to,
The 16 that you said, because.
the 1691, because we don't know how much. Do we combine the 698 and the
Yes.
5 to one number?
Yes. And you tell, our overall budget, we did not spend whatever X amount of money that is. I don't know for, and then, I'd like to have that, whatever, 1,000 plus, carried over to next year. Maybe you can cite inflation. Just, throwing that out there.
No, and the amount, I mean, we've been doing a lot more activities, lately.
Yeah, and it's gonna cost more too.
And at the end of the day, we can only go back
So we
to
1198.32.
right.
So that's your
From the budget.
carryover, right? And
Are we driving you
then your
crazy yet?
sponsorship is the other.
500 from allocation from AP sum, just so I can make note of it, is going to be what you guys are gonna request from that line item to be carried forward to the next year, right?
Yeah, but no point in putting in the same line item.
Right.
We're never gonna get there. For years, if looking back at it,
The next year for
I
events.
don't know before I was here, was it the same amount for a school?
The reason there was 26.5 in there because there was an uncertainty to the expenses that were gonna be there. What you could simply do is, the way that I see it here, miscellaneous expenses was not funded this year. So you
No,
can
it's
throw those
still
$500 into miscellaneous expense and actually fund that line item.
So instead of throwing it for the 500 to events, throw it to the miscellaneous.
Expense.
Exactly, and then it's easier if you have to transfer it from miscellaneous to an event,
So-
it's easier to do it that way.
In reality, it might be easier just. to
And the
throw it into
698, we reallocated just goes to back to events for next year.
So the council doesn't like when you put a lot of money into it.
No,
That's
they
why-
don't, yeah.
right, So you should have moved everything there.
So we're only moving 500 in
Right.
2 cents
To events.
to miscellaneous.
Mhm.
They're asked why the 2 cents, and we're like, because we like 2 cents.
Mhm.
Because you're not gonna give us anything. So.
Hector like to put his 2 cents. in.
No, not that you said that, no, but listen, in all seriousness, every year, I think it's my 3rd or 4th year, the same amount has been budgeted. I don't know before that if it was
It
the same
was.
amount. And if you're telling me that every year we're paying 80, 60, every year we've been giving back $500.
No, we haven't.
So
Well, I
what
mean,
happens to
I'm sorry.
$500?
We lose
I don't know what
$500.
you guys are doing, but yeah, no, we actually had it carry forward and we would transfer some of that money then into another line item, whether it was miscellaneous. I think I would take actually that money and buy books with them. The books that we would give out. So that would actually come out of the miscellaneous account. That's where that money would come from.
We
Okay,
do need to
because-
books, so. No, we're good on book.
So
We
that's
found the
where
books
that,
on
Oh, no.
You found books? You found?
I found the books.
it?
Yeah,
Okay,
moving
so
around.
seeing that we transferred funds and we did a lot, line item new business
So then we think. okay,
So where are we
we're
moving
on
the
a motion.
500? Finally,
to miscellaneous.
to miscellaneous.
Okay, so let me restate that, because we haven't voted on that one.
Oh,
No?
motion.
So I'll make a motion to move the $500.02 from AP line to miscellaneous expenses for the next fiscal year. Second?
Second,
All in favor?
I was still doing that.
What else do we need to, I just want to make sure we don't leave anything on.
So to recap, 698.30 from the events budget, okay? Goes back to the next year's event. 502 goes from the AP will be carried over to miscellaneous to the next year, correct? And from our sponsorship money, $1,691 approximately,
Minus.
minus whatever,
Correct.
whatever comes into the new stadium, correct?
That's your motion, I mean.
We're just going over it. Sounds all right.
Bam.
Hello, everyone.
Hey,
I'm Melissa.
there you go, Melissa is gonna clear everything.
I have 10 minutes for you guys.
Dale, Melissa,
What are your concerns? What are your questions? Hopefully I can answer them.
next year, okay, the October, let's go over the July and the October. Right, I mean, September, October.
Okay,
We need to bring it up.
So we've been told, not told, but recommended that instead of going to September council meeting, that we go to October in order to.
To carry over funds.
Correct.
So, okay, so you understand. I do not do any carry forward amendments till March and April because that changes the bottom line of the budget. It needs 2 readings. The first reading will be in March. The second reading will be in April. I do that for all funds across the town. The reason being is because in March is when we close our annual comprehensive financial report, which allows us to have actuals, which is all the expenses that have occurred in the current fiscal year are in the books. So because this year is not complete yet, you don't really know what your expenses are because they're not all booked yet. So that is why the recommendation is to wait till you have a final number, so you're giving an accurate number to council saying, hey, this is what we would like to carry forward. Does that answer your question?
So if we go back in October, the council's not gonna say, hey, you're a month too late.
No, the no carry forward happens throughout the town until March and April.
Melissa,
Yes.
when I've gone up before,
Mhm.
and maybe things have changed, but when I would go up before, and let's say we were, we were gonna get funded, because we get funded in September, right, through the budget?
Mhm.
Okay, so let's say, just to throw out a number, because I can't remember the number, but let's say, whatever, the town is allocating 30,000 budget for the next fiscal year.
For 22.
Right, but for this year, I had $1,000 left over.
Mhm.
Then I would have to go in September and then ask for those $1,000 to be included with the 30 that was given to me, so that I would have 31.
So I'll use an example of the mayor's gala. The mayor's gala happens at the end of September.
Mhm,
All the expenses for that are not gonna be in by September 30th.
mhm.
They're not. I don't budget anything for the Special Needs Advisory Board in the coming year for 22-23. Until all the expenses have come in, we know exactly how much money they do get. So when I go to council in March and April, I know what that amount is and I carry that forward into 22-23.
So that, though, there's no money allocated by the town. That's sponsorship money and ticket sales. So that's,
However, now, what you're able to carry forward is whatever sponsorship money you have not utilized.
okay, so
Now-
that answers that question. Okay, check.
Now, you do have the discretion and the liberty to ask the council, hey, we didn't utilize all of our budgeted funds.
Right,
Can we carry it forward? Now, there is a possibility they can say yes, but there
Okay.
is also a possibility that they can say no.
no, right, yeah.
You as a committee have any right to request whatever you want.
Mhm.
However, best practice is that you really should only carry forward whatever sponsorship money you didn't utilize. Because technically that's town funds.
Right.
It's not committee funds,
Right,
if that
right.
makes sense.
No, I get what you're saying. I totally get that, but that's exactly why they would always tell me to do it in September, because if not, the monies that, let's say we didn't use, let's say I didn't use those $1,000, they go back into the general pot, right?
Mhm.
And then they get used elsewhere. So then if I come back later on, then they'll tell me, well, wait a second, we already used $1,000 that you gave us back. So
What you have right to carry forward.
is a
Is a
sponsorship, money,
sponsorship.
and that's it.
Sponsorship
Everything
dollars.
else just goes back to the pot.
Now,
Okay.
I know that there was an issue regarding the $5,000. I am certain that Isle, because she is a fantastic employee, that she explained
She did.
the whole thing of the $5,000. Are there any questions regarding that?
We nailed that one.
I knew it. I knew it because she's excellent at what she does. And
So,
and
what
she,
you-
and she tries very hard in trying to appease everyone.
and she,
Oh, we know that.
she is very good. Pero, okay, so whatever's left over, when you pay everything, which should be about $940 some, we don't even need to go to council and ask, because that automatically is gonna.
What I
transfer.
would say is that you should maybe send an email to your liaison and copy Claricel and say, hey, based on this report that we got, we feel we have this money that we would like to have carried forward. So that it's something that I have in writing, then I can go and double check and do my due diligence to make sure that it is in fact the money that you are entitled to.
But I
Which is
don't
a
have to,
sponsorship money, so you have to make sure that you specify sponsorship money
Exactly.
versus.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
And now, again, this is all at the discretion of the council.
and I still have to go to council. in
so-
order.
So when we go to carry forward, they can decide, you know what,
Exactly.
no. So
But my question is, those 947, I still have to go to council.
The 947, that's sponsorship money.
Sponsorship.
Well, that's what she's saying, because I guess they still have discussion, right? It's, but I thought you
I'm
said
not,
sponsor,
I'm
yeah,
not following, what is your
I
question?
still have to go to council to ask for it
for
to
the
be transferred.
sponsorship money. He's talking about a sponsorship
To be
money
able to
balance.
carry it forward, the committee should, yes,
Yes,
in
that's
fact,
what I'm
ask
saying.
for it. However, if you send me if you send an email copying,
Mhm.
Isle, copying Claricel, they will do their due diligence to make sure that when carry forward time comes, that I am allocating those funds for you. However, my memo, when it goes to council, they can say, you know what, we don't want to
We
do
don't
this.
want-
And we're talking about sponsorship money.
Yes.
Okay, so I maybe I misunderstood. I thought sponsorship money kind of
It-
automatic stayed.
It should, yes.
It should,
It
but
should, but it
but I
doesn't.
don't know. I got it.
I'm not saying it doesn't. I'm just
Right, it
saying
still has to go to
should.
the council.
Everything is up to the
Yeah, they
discretion of
still
the
have to go
council.
to the council.
I just want to make sure that part, to make sure.
Yeah,
that we-
'cause I
we
wanted to
have it
clarify,
right.
yeah. Yeah,
Don't put word in my mouth.
yeah, no, that's what I wanted to
No,
clarify, yeah, that's what
So
it
then
is.
we
That
don't-
is-
Okay.
Regardless, you have to go before the council.
But they will still be going to council because they were originally given $1,000, part of their budget that has not been touched. And they want that money to be taken to next.
What I
year.
have specified is what you are entitled to carry forward is your sponsorship money.
Under council approval,
Yes.
okay.
What you-
Everything is under council
Yeah,
approval.
I
I
just wanna
cannot
make
do
sure.
anything, I
Yeah,
cannot
just so
move
that we
anything
clarify, yeah.
without council.
Yeah, no, it's just so we can clarify, so there's no misunderstanding.
So,
Okay, so what you're
But,
saying is
but,
that,
but money that was budgeted for events, we shouldn't request for it to be transferred.
Carry forward.
I don't think that it's a best practice. You, however, you are the committee, you can do whatever you would like to do in requesting. You have a new budget that
Mhm.
you're going to have now coming this fiscal year. If you didn't spend it in this current year, why didn't you spend it in this current year? Why weren't you able to utilize it?
well, it wasn't used because we were under the impression that that was the first thing that was gonna get used. It was budgeted that was gonna get used. And everything else, all these sponsors, we went after them because we figured $1,000 is not enough for all the events we're having.
Right.
You know how at the last meeting or whenever we presented, or that little workshop that we did, he wanted us to break it down, so much for this event, for that event, whatever.
Which was provided.
Right, but that's what we did this year. In the past, it was everything lumped up into events.
Well, it is all lumped up into that one line item. However, in the comments, it explains what that total is
Right.
and what it is for each.
But in the past, I was never of the understanding that one would take priority over the other, that if whatever you brought in first. you know,
Whatever sponsorship money comes in, that gets utilized first before town
Right,
funds.
but I don't know if anybody else was aware. I don't recall being aware that. I thought, listen, the town, I gave you $1,000 for events. We hold our event and we have to cover the other
No,
rest.
I never did sponsorship, so I don't know how that function, how that.
No,
works.
and that's fine, but it's good
Yeah.
to know. It's good to
Yeah.
know because in reality,
That has never been explained.
That's the.
Well, I
part
hope that
that's
I've kind of.
No, I
explained it.
get it.
No, that
You
makes
know.
sense. But Melissa, will that affect us going forward as far as our new budget? for the new fiscal
So
year?
you have a budget.
Because we didn't utilize it, obviously, because they did such a good job of
And
getting
that's awesome.
sponsorship dollars.
Very much appreciated.
And
You
that's the
guys were not
future. I
with
think it's
that.
the future.
Right, is that gonna
committees,
hurt us
so-
going forward? You know, what happens if next year we can't raise as many?
So you can budget what you feel is appropriate. And again, everything is up to the discretion of the council. Like this year, our committees alone, amongst all committees, the budget was increased by $70,000, which to me is a lot.
It's significant,
It
yeah.
is very significant, and it is part of the proposal that will be presented next week to council. Now, the council can decide, you know what, you're gonna go to status quo and you're gonna keep the budget you had last year.
Right.
That's not up to me.
Hmm.
That's up to their discretion. But
And it, I know you're submitting to council,
mhm,
so I assume that becomes public record, right? Whatever you're submitting to council to approve.
it will be on the town website
Right.
on Friday.
But right now, we could not see what our committee alone.
I'm not finished.
Right.
That's why when he had asked that I come, I didn't want to come off rude, but I have a time constraint and I need to get my stuff done.
Don't worry about it.
She's
Um,
busy.
Yeah, I don't
No, I
want,
know
that's
you
why
are.
I'm
I
saying
do
Friday I'm available, whatever you guys
I get
need,
it.
but
No, I think Friday we're good now, since you're here anyway.
so,
Okay.
So then we're good, right?
but what was,
Sponsorship money, we understand that.
We
So
we
it comes.
whatever you requested is what you what's in the budget right now. So whatever you sent as the budget proposal, that's what's in the budget. Now, again, everything is up to council approval. So my meeting on the 14th, they can decide, you know what?
Go back to.
Excellent.
So I don't want to give you a false hope because
No,
obviously
no.
this hasn't been approved. It is in the proposal
It's
right
the
now.
proposal,
Whatever you submitted is in the proposal right now.
But for the, I always say this for about the statement, that we needed to finish to add up all of the sponsorship money. But you said we need to wait for that until October, I believe.
So right now,
No, it was
they,
in August.
so right now they have 1691 available
Mhm.
in sponsored dollars. However, because things hit my credit card, it's not a real time number.
Yes,
So that's
so-
what she's referring to.
So what happens is, and this is across all committees,
Right.
and not only that, there is something that is in the works to try to make this process with the committees a little more seamless. It should be a part of the budget ordinance. Hopefully it will be now at the budget hearing. I'm sorry, I got sidetracked in saying that about trying to make this seamless for all of you guys.
So right now, they have
The statement.
1691 left,
Yeah.
but I was telling them that it's not 100% real
Okay,
time.
I
because
remember what I was
charges
gonna say.
may-
I lost my train of thought for a minute. What I was gonna say is that this is something across all committees is that we utilize credit card. So the credit card doesn't hit the actual account until the following month because you don't pay your credit card in real time. You pay it a month later. So that's why I say the actual expenses that are reflected there is not necessarily what you have available, like whatever sponsorship dollars you may have available is because not everything has hit that account because of the credit card.
Even if it was more than a month ago.
Oh, that I don't know.
The
I
credit
mean,
card
because-
wasn't reconciliated till like a week ago.
Okay, that's.
Yeah, because this is from August 30th and we're on the 6th. So I'm guessing it must be updated.
It's not
Okay,
new.
but then what about September? Are there no September
No, no, no,
expenses?
she's talking about an August charge, but look, it's not on there.
The candidate form, to be specific.
It's not there. You'll
Like,
see
Not
that it
posted
stopped,
It should be.
you'll see that it
updated
stopped
right
in
now.
July.
Right, so
Okay.
the
So-
It hasn't posted.
So yeah, if it hasn't posted, then it's not reflected, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm budget. So finance is a different aspect.
So then,
Did I answer your question?
Yeah, I mean,
It's not posted, so,
Yeah.
sorry.
So we'll go back to 16.
But I can see if I can find that out for you. Or have, Io tomorrow, we'll sit with Kay and see.
yeah, because I thought it's been more than a month, it should.
Well,
It
that
would make sense.
It would make sense, yes, but I guess it also is, when is the due? Whatever finance has in what they have to pay out, so
so the
I don't do
question-
that aspect, if I did, I would more than gladly
Okay,
be able to answer that, but.
So there's no issue with us going back and trying to move from the events, the 300, because we cannot end up at the red in any category.
No, you do
So
have
that
to
300,
transfer.
we can transfer from the events category to that. So
Pay
what-
for that
Yes,
deficit.
yes,
So what it comes down to it is the difference she's saying is we really shouldn't be going back to council for that.
No, we shouldn't go back for the 698.30.
Anything 700 and less.
And the $500 that we had allocated for the AP.
Anything
that we're gonna pay.
700.
So what
$700 or less, you don't
you don't
have
have to go to
council.
council.
You
Anything
just
that is,
transfer.
because that is within the town manager's authority. So what it is, it would just be, I would prepare a memo for me. I would check it, then everybody goes through the approval process, and when it comes back to me, then I do the moving of funds. Anything above 700,000 must have council.
$700.
$700.
If we're doing 700,000, we're gonna have one hell of a party.
I don't need approval from council to get the approval for the 301.70.
No, what you need is approval from the committee. It must be part of
Which
your
we did.
minutes.
Which,
Because that's part of the backup that is attached for me to then say, okay, the committee approves this, I can go ahead.
So we
and
did
then
that.
the 698.30, I also don't need approval from council for it to be,
What
Wait,
690?
No, the 698.30 that you're looking for, that's a carryover, that's not sponsored.
Right, and that's.
So that means that's money you haven't used
Correct.
out of this year's budget that you want to keep. So that means you have to go to council, and again, going back to, if, let's say they allocated $30,000, right, that's the budget proposal. But you want those 698.30, then you have to go up to council and say, hey, you know, I'd like my 30 plus the 698.30 that I didn't use.
so what we're saying is don't ask for those 600.
Okay, that's how, that's, you know,
And
and
you shouldn't ask for the 600.
to Melissa's point, you know, and it all depends. Here's the thing. You have to look at everything that you guys did this year, tally up the expenses. A lot of it was spent with was paid with sponsorship money that you cannot guarantee are going to be there. Because that's a
and That's why
reality.
you always go back and ask.
So that's why, you know, if in fact you need it, then you can kind of, you know, make that argument that
So when we
you
made,
use sponsorship dollars, but you can't guarantee those are gonna be there. So maybe you do need the 698.30.
We already made a motion to try to carry it over.
well,
You
we
can
we
with-
we
you can
we
with-
take
yeah,
a
you can take
motion.
the motion.
I love making motion. I can make a motion that we raise the motion, you know, that's.
Get back and put it back in.
And the $500, then we're not gonna go back and ask for the
I-
500 from the AP.
I would say in October, at the end of October, you should have more of an idea of where you're at. Because by that point, I would think, granted, that our all of our expenses have come in specifically for committees. Townwide, that's a different story.
Wasn't expecting anything else, right?
No,
Just in
no, no.
case.
I thought we closed at the end of this month of fiscal year, and that's not a hurry,
You,
that's a
so
rush.
the,
That's why we had to
the
rush
fiscal
meeting.
year ends, but we don't close till like March. Because we still get invoices in December from a bunch of places.
So council's not gonna come back and tell us, still too late, you're not too late. That's
The council can tell you whatever they want. I'm sorry. So
Okay.
have I answered all of your
Yes,
questions?
yeah, it's a lot clearer.
Thank
Yes.
I leave you in great hands.
Thank you,
You have
Melissa,
a great
appreciate it.
liaison. Thank you for what you do for the town.
Appreciate it.
And I'm
You,
back to my
Good
crazy.
night.
guys,
Okay,
we're back to it, so.
back to it.
So we're not gonna ask for.
So hold on.
We gotta vote on it.
Wait. Where's the budget proposal? I know it's been gone. Do you have a budget proposal for next year?
We did do a budget proposal.
Okay. So what was the total?
That was in the town chambers, wasn't it? Yeah. Did we do anything?
Okay, what was the total amount? Because I don't have that.
I
So,
have it here.
That's for a lot more for events, because we were gonna do more events. right?
okay, that being said, then you can make the argument that you would like to have this carryover money, okay, added on to the budget that you didn't use this year and added on to next year's budget to increase it because it's there. So you can make that argument. You follow?
Say that again. Make the argument to increase it.
Okay, so let's say let me see, what is the budget right now? Here, what is it, 45? 45.5?
500, yes.
Okay, so let's say this is our budget right now, right? Okay, but you're going to have more events next year. And let's just chalk up to $50,000. That's what your expected expenses are going to be, okay? You can make the argument that you need that $698, okay? Plus the 500, remember, because you still got the 500 in play too, from miscellaneous. You can make the argument, hey, you know, let me have that 1198.32, okay? Because we're going to be, you know, sponsoring more events and we're gonna need the funding. So you can make that argument so that you can have that money carried forward if you have a use for it. So if you're gonna add in an event, whatever, an ABC event, okay, well, this is where I need that money, because we're gonna have an ABC event this year that we didn't have last year.
I mean,
So
But
if you
the
still,
fact
if you
that-
wanna look at that, at the budget and you wanna add something else in, or feel that maybe the cost of one particular event may cost more, because again, you can't count with those sponsorships. It's fantastic that they're there, but you can't, that's not guaranteed money.
No.
So if you, like, and I understand what she said, okay, we took first from the sponsorship thing, that's fantastic, okay? But if that money's not there,
where-
Then what?
Then what?
so that's the argument that needs to be made. This is what we used, yes, last year, but we have this money left over. Why? Because there was sponsorship money. Without the sponsorship money, this would not have happened. So that's the argument that you have to make up there.
So Clara, what you're saying is that even though she recommended that we do not go after this other money, we should
She didn't recommend that. What she said was, if you're not going to use it,
use it, yeah.
but that's, yeah, so that's, if you're not going to use it, but if in fact there are gonna be more events,
Out of the
and I
11,
wanna stress it, the cost of inflation, no joke,
it's not up. yeah.
things are expensive nowadays.
Even at like
Okay.
1198, we already utilized, the 30170, so it's not like we're, from the 1198, we're not gonna use it. So I understand, after we have you take the 301,
Mhm.
you still have 698 that you can make the argument, it's for, unaware expenses, inflation, price of everything has gone up, even janitorial has gone up.
Yeah, so what you paid, let's say example, what you paid last year for janitorial, are you gonna be guaranteed the same rates?
Per hour.
And we all know that everything has
Everything
escalated,
has gone
so you can make the argument that that's for that, or that you're gonna use it for another event. You just have to justify
Well, we're gonna use.
what you're, that's what she's saying. If you're just gonna say, I just want the money because I want the money, then
Yeah.
that, you can't really make that work.
So
Yeah.
my thing is, I don't know what they're gonna finally approve, right? So I know we requested, I think it was, I think we requested about $8,000 for events next year. We had, this year, we had to explain what we're allocating, what event.
Yeah, that's
Right?
normally how.
No, but last year it was, now it's just a general number. You give it out for events. This year we had to break it down.
Mhm.
So much for
We
the event, so
wanted
much
us
for
to
the
break
event.
it down, yeah.
So if I knew, my concern again, and I know it's only 1,100, but I don't know how many other committees. That is taxpayer money, and if it could be used for something better, since we did not use it, I just say that every year we keep losing it,
Okay.
I'd rather
but-
budget 26, if it's 26 and 26.5. You know what I'm saying? If it's, and I'm talking about that one event. Now, that one activity, AP line, right? That's the school board's the one that sets the rate, not us. As far as events, like I said, if they're gonna give me the whole thing for next year, then we're still gonna get, because I know we have some people who are committed to some of the events, right?
Yeah, but still.
But that can
No,
change.
we should have the money.
Until you have the check in hand, those are sponsorships. I mean, what happens if they don't pay? Are you gonna penalize them? You're gonna fine them?
No, you can't.
Exactly. So you can't count. I'm the kind of person, I don't count with the money unless I have it in hand. Because especially
But
with the
if I
way
knew-
the
but if-
economy is, they
but
could
if
be
I
here
knew-
today and gone tomorrow.
But if I knew the council's gonna approve whatever we requested, I think that'll be more than enough to cover our events. The thing is, we don't know because they haven't taken a
They
final
haven't,
vote on it.
yeah.
Right, and there's a couple of, if you make the argument to the council that you want these events funded, okay, and they're okay with it, they will approve it. But I think what needs to be specifically clarified is that sponsorship money is not something that you should count on to fund a committee. And that's what, yes, they took that money firsthand, right? Because it was there. It's there today. Like I said, it may not be there tomorrow. Regardless of the commitments that you guys have, things can change.
I agree.
So what happens then? Those events, now your committee is underfunded because you banked on those sponsorships coming through. So now, what happens? Let's say the sponsorships come through, the town, whatever, allocates the money. Now, okay, we didn't use the money, That's a different story. Okay, but the funding should be there. At the beginning, at the end, if it doesn't get used, then it doesn't get used. Because yes, I agree with Hector. Yeah, I'm all about, if we're gonna spend taxpayer money, we better make sure that we spend it well.
Right.
I don't like hoarding it. you know, it belongs to everybody, but the reality is, we cannot guarantee the sponsors,
Sponsors.
you know?
So that settles that. So we'll ask for it then.
So everybody's okay with giving us the motions that we did, you're gonna go.
Yes, yeah. Nothing else?
So you will be going to council for this next meeting next.
Yes. All right.
And that will give you time, if they have any questions, for you to come back the second time.
We like going to council anyway.
We?
Yeah.
No, you seem to enjoy it quite a bit.
All right, any other announcements? No, no, no?
Oh, just one thing based on that, because, what I was telling you guys about the check, so this is just going into a new fiscal year, best practice that you could use. Either we stop using the credit card altogether, although I don't think that's convenient for most cases, or you guys can assign a treasurer who can keep real-time amounts of anything that was charged, so that you have a guaranteed number 100%, like, you know, whenever you need it, rather than having to wait for it to hit 30 days later.
That's what the Veterans Committee has.
Yeah, some of the committees do it.
So they're allowed to assign a treasurer.
Yeah, you guys, I mean, that's up to you.
But we could do that now, or we have to wait for the next election.
No? Oh, I see what you mean.
Mhm.
No, okay, so it's not really like a position in the same way that a secretary or vice chair chair,
There's
so
someone that we
it's kind of
designate.
like an unofficial position, so that's fine, you guys can decide amongst yourselves.
Yeah, whatever. Let's not argue in front of the thing.
And just going forward, I will make sure to attach that, again, always understanding that it's about a month behind, I'll just attach it as part of your monthly agendas.
Thank you. So then, seeing no announcements, I adjourn this, a motion to adjourn this meeting at 6:43.
A second.
All in favor? Thank you very much, everybody, for coming.
Both men were saying, I am
And the end.
going to ask them for a raise, please. Tell them not to budget.
Yeah.
Budget
Taxpayer
review
money,
raise.
right?
I will,
We're gonna take
is there
our.
any
sponsorship
update on
money
the
for a
checks?
raise.